edge where the cold winds blow, truth runs deeper than the stories they told. Cowboy Criminology, ride the line, getting to the truth behind true crime.
Hey everybody, Derek Judd, the Cowboy Criminologist here with Cowboy Criminology. Welcome back to part 2 of Zulema's interview with the Chandler Police Department. Now, if you watched the first video, we saw a couple of good things, a couple of interesting things, things that are, for me as an investigator, were pertinent. We haven't really seen anything determinative of deception, trying to mislead the investigation. Everything's been pretty innocuous so far. We've seen some good things. We've seen a few things that I was kind of like, ooh, kind of flirting with disaster there. But so far, everybody has maintained their professionalism. The first video is a little slow. And like I said, it's my first time watching it. I always like to come into an interrogation with fresh eyes, so I'm calling it in the moment as I see it, and I'm not relying on past information, what's come out. I'm giving my own opinion based on what I'm seeing. Let's see. Anything else? No, I think that's pretty much it. So we're going to pick it up here. We're 30 minutes into the video. And once again, I want to thank Carolina Furtado for giving me the link to this video. She wanted me to check this out. And if you don't pick up anything else from this video, I want you to gain an understanding of why this interview is going on. They're trying to repair holes, fix inconsistencies in their case. Inconsistencies sink prosecutions. It's just the way it is. Like I said in the last video, if you fix it before trial, you're doing an investigation. If the defense attorney points it out at trial, it's going to look like a cover-up. All right. So one is easy to explain, and the other you can't come back from. So we're going to pick it up here, 30 minutes. Zulema's attorney has stepped out of the room. He had to make a phone call. One of the detectives asked a question about whether she'd been to Idaho or Rexburg, and that was the question. I said, well, that's danger close. I mean, because the attorney was very specific. You could talk about anything you want, but don't talk about anything to do with the case. Well, those are locations that are pertinent to the case. But so far, we've been talking about the weather, and let's face it, there are very few things more innocuous than the weather. These guys, I'm guessing, I'm assuming these guys are from Idaho. This is just happening at the Chandler Police Department. But they're discussing, obviously, there's serious temperature difference between Idaho and Arizona. I used to live in Las Vegas, Nevada. That joke she made about your blood thinning out. Yes, people do say that in hot climates. Yes, that is a real thing. I used to have an incredible tolerance for the heat. I don't have it anymore. Used to have a high tolerance for the cold. Went to Vegas. That went away. So, yeah, it does affect you. And swamp coolers, not a bad way to go. For cooling, they are efficient, and in a dry environment, especially, they're pretty good. Oddly enough, for me, my experience with swamp coolers is they always exist in the most humid places. And for those of you who have used a swamp cooler when the humidity is above 90%, you know it's absolutely miserable. It does very, very little. So we're jumping back in here at 30 minutes after, or 30 minutes into the interview, and we're going to pick it up and see what new insights we can find.
spring sports, and then some of them are summer sports. But summer sports are usually like swimming or like gymnastics or
something
like
inside.
things. Most of the stuff is inside. Yeah, like volleyball and stuff like that. So yeah, they don't do much outside during the summer. I don't do much aside during the summer. Actually, take truth. I take my grandkids sometimes to the park and take them like super late, like right before it gets dark. So we walk all the way to the park. Sometimes I drive them, but sometimes we walk so that they can get really nice and tired, and they play for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, guys, it's getting dark.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Time to go and
Time
go to
go,
bed.
Grandma's
go to
tired.
bed, yeah.
Well, I'm
Tired
sure
of
that
them.
playground equipment gets scorching hot during
yeah,
the day. You can't even get on it.
Well, if you, I don't know if you've seen them, but a lot of the parks here have those big, what are the things called? Like
An umbrella type deal?
Yeah, they're like made, like they're in a triangle. They're this big, huge
Like
shades for the
Big canopy is the word she's looking for.
Can actually play on them because otherwise they get too hot.
Yeah,
They'll burn themselves. Yeah. So yeah, most of them have the shades on top of them.
Yeah,
A lot of them are made out of material that doesn't really absorb heat, so.
I don't.
No.
But even still, at 110 degrees, that equipment's going to get warm.
I mean, in August or July, and it's 95 out. I remember taking my kids to the park, and you get on those plastic slides. Yeah, and they burn their legs or their hands. So how far do you live from?
I'm going to stop it there at 3154. If you're my age or older, you grew up in the 80s and 90s, do you remember the tall metal slides at parks or the metal merry-go-rounds? Like that was just, I mean, I'm not going to say that adults didn't care about kids at the time, but it really was a life study in Darwinism. I mean, as you had to be tough. I remember I get made fun of a lot for not wearing shorts. I very, very rarely wear shorts, and a lot of that has to do with the car my parents at the time had brown vinyl seating. It was an old Ford LTD, and it was like a rolling Hershey bar, but it was the same color interior as the exterior, just a chocolate brown. And I remember getting into that car in the summers, and I mean, it just lift your legs off the seat, and I mean they're immediately red and everything. And like for some reason, we never thought to take a towel or a blanket and put it down in the seat, even though we knew. Slow learning curve. I mean, get tough, but I really think that's where my aversion to wearing shorts came from. Is I got tired of my legs getting burned. But yeah, I remember the huge metal slides and the merry-go-rounds, and I think they've done away with all the fun playground equipment. You look at playgrounds now, and it's just kind of like lame. Man, I feel sorry for kids. If you were born after like 93, sorry, you kind of missed a childhood. You missed a lot of the good stuff. You missed a lot of the fun stuff. So that's unfortunate. But for those of us who remember, we've got those memories. We remember them fondly, and we're still here to talk about it. So we'll pick it up here at 3154.
The police department here. So is it like a 15-minute drive? Or
20 minutes. Yeah. No, it's not bad at all. So.
Okay, I don't know why that was muted out all of a sudden.
Like Chandler and Mesa and Gilbert, it's like, they're so close together. It's like one.
Oh, maybe just sensitive information about where she lived. That would make sense. Yeah, of course.
Diamondbacks game last night.
You did? Now,
fun.
that's a cool experience.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
place amazing?
Traveling detectives must be nice.
Yeah, you like once you go on. Well, we call him Bob because the first name that he had was Bank of America Ballpark.
Oh, okay.
So everybody used to call it Bob back when they already built it. Now it has had like 2 or 3 different names, so depending who's sponsoring it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of name it has
It's
now.
Chase.
Chase.
Chase
Okay.
Stadium.
Chase
Yeah.
Stadium. Okay. So, but it's just the experience of walking in there and seeing this. I mean, amazing structure. I mean, it's just an amazing structure they have there.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to see where the kids' place that they have? So up top, they have a terrace.
Okay. So
it's
at
kind of showing it.
1332, starting at about 3329, her hands are on the edge of the table. This is a gesture we haven't seen from her, and maybe we're starting to see a little anxiety. We're starting to see like I'm tired of the small talk, or the small talk is like making her uncomfortable. Like I said, it's not indicative of anything, but it's something new. It's something we haven't seen her do yet. So those are types of things. Do they mean anything? We don't know yet. But she might be at kind of a point where she's ready for her attorney to get back into the room. Uh, and yeah, small talk, especially in a high stress situation like this, just it takes on a completely different tone. It's not, to the person being interviewed, it's not nearly as innocuous as I think a lot of people would like for it to be. Certainly not as innocuous as the detectives would like to be, but they're doing a really good job. They're very relaxed. They're doing good uh, with what they're doing. Hopefully, they're kind of taking stock of how she's answering these questions and picking up on what her baseline is. But we'll go ahead, pick it up here at 33:30.
I made it because it's like a terrace, so it goes out like this, so you can actually see the game, and the parents can hang out right there and watch the game. And right here they have a playground for the kids, and they have batting cages for the kids.
Really?
So then the kids can actually be playing and and entertaining themselves, where the parents are drinking and watching the game or whatever they're doing there. Yeah, so yeah, it's really
Okay, at
pretty
34 minutes, we're going to stop there. It's something I just picked up on, and it's a very hot button issue. If you notice the detective closest to the door, he has his phone on the table and it's screen up. Zulema has her phone with her and it's screen down. Where do you all stand on cell phone etiquette? Do you want the screen up or the screen down? I'm a screen down person because I can't stand going out with people and wanting to have a good time and they're constantly on their phones. So if my phone is screen side down, I'm showing you respect, because I want you to have my full attention. I don't want to be distracted by my phone. Um, my wife is often frustrated because I leave my phone on silent and I don't even put it on vibrate. A lot of that is because, 13, 14 hours a day, I'm up at the law school studying or in class, and I don't want to be distracted by other things. So yeah, I'm curious. I might do a poll for this video and just ask, where do y'all stand with phones on a table, screen up or screen down? Pick it up here at 34 minutes.
Yeah, we tried going up to the second floor. And they had it shut down. Or maybe they
Because
just
of
shut
COVID, yeah, because of COVID, you had to have a special pass to get up there if your tickets weren't up there. So wherever your tickets were, they kind of made you stay on the level.
okay.
I'm gonna stop it at 15 after. Really, the reason I mentioned the cell phones, and I probably should have mentioned that, is unless you're expecting like a family emergency where you have to answer that phone, I think in a situation like this, screen side down is appropriate. I wouldn't. I do get a lot of alerts. I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of text notifications, app notifications, things like that. But that can be very distracting because, let's face it, we're all addicted to our electronics. Even me, as much as I try to say I'm not addicted to electronics, I've got a YouTube channel. So really, how anti-technology am I if I have a YouTube channel, right? But in an investigation like this, and this might be the detective saying, we've got some stuff to clear up, but I'm not terribly worried about it. So because it's not maybe as high stakes, he's okay with his phone being like that. I'd almost rather not have my phone on me just so I can give my complete attention to what's going on in this room. All right, so we'll pick it up here at 3450.
So we sat in section 135, kind of down the left field line, third base line by left field. And
Those are good tickets.
yeah, I was pretty impressed with it. But as soon as you walk in, you see the field, you're like, holy smokes, that's cool.
It is very cool. It's an experience for sure.
Yeah, and I've been to a couple other games, in Denver and Chicago. Been to games that
A major league park is cool. I mean,
stadium.
I'm sure we can all agree on
They
that.
have the top open.
Whether you're a sports fan or not, going to a major league
The
stadium,
top was closed.
regardless of the sport,
And
is
I didn't
a
even
pretty
know-
cool
Did you
thing.
notice them opening it? I didn't even see it. The next thing I look up and it was open. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's very cool how they do that. Sometimes they open it up and they have the Air Force do a flyover, and then
That would be
also
cool.
sometimes because the top all those, they look like it's their walls, but they're really not wall, they're panels. So all the panels can actually go like this, so they're actually all the way up on the top. It actually opens up like this, so
Oh,
you can
really?
actually see all the way outside. So for the 4th of July, if there's a game on 4th of July, what they do is that they open the top, they open up all the windows up on the top, and then they have fireworks
That'd be
display.
cool.
That
It
would be
is
cool.
the coolest thing ever. It is so cool. And then on that day they let you on the field.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do.
Oh.
So I was there for one time for 4th of July. It was pretty amazing.
So do you go to a lot of those games or no?
Not anymore. I used to go a lot.
Stop there, 36 after. Talking about major league stadiums, things like that, apropos of absolutely nothing, but you realize the Dallas Cowboys have had losing seasons ever since Jerry Jones built the new stadium, and he didn't leave a hole in the roof so God could watch the Cowboys play. That's not something I'm making up. That's just a hardcore fact. And unless Jerry Jones decides to punch a hole in there, I think the Cowboys are going to keep losing. Now, bear in mind, I've given up on professional sports a long time ago. As a police officer and as a veteran, I just there were actions of a lot of people that are absolutely First Amendment protected, but you can't push that and then expect a lot of people to stay loyal to your brand. To me, it just it just made me feel like I wasn't welcome. I was part of something awful, and so I refuse to support professional sports, and that's a personal thing. And if you like baseball, football, whatever your thing is, I never really got into basketball. Well, I mean, I did grow up in the '90s, so I mean, who wasn't a fan of Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, the Dream Team. So yeah, I mean, you get caught up in the heat of the moment with a team that's just on a run that hadn't been seen before. But yeah, I gave up on baseball in the early '90s with all the strikes. Michael Jordan retired, came back, retired again, lost interest in basketball. Football with all the protesting stuff, I was just like, you know what? There's other places I can dedicate 2 hours of my time to. So anyway, we'll pick it up back up here at 36 after.
When my son was little, he loved baseball, so I used to take him all the time. And then my youngest daughter liked it also when she was little, so then I used to take them both to the games
cool.
a lot more. But now they're both grown and they do their own thing.
Do they still go?
They're not cool. I'm not cool to be with mom anymore. So, my daughter still does. My daughter still does. My son's got some pretty. He struggles a lot with anxiety and being around people, a lot of people and stuff like that. So he doesn't get out much these days. So.
Well, I'm sure that's something that they'll always remember is going to that. I mean, I can remember when my dad took me to Dodger Stadium, when you're little. It's just something that sticks with you forever.
Yeah, they still talk about it.
Yeah.
They still talk about the games. There's a couple times. Yes, there's a couple times when I told my son, set the 2 of us today, let's go to the game. He's like, okay. And we would get the really expensive tickets, and we would be right, way at the bottom and really cool.
Did you ever catch a ball? A foul ball?
No, but you know what? One time, one of them came towards us and hit somebody right on the head, right.
Oh, that would hurt.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
The bad thing about the ballpark is you pay a lot of money for a ticket, but then you get in and a hot dog is like $10.
Favorite baseball memory growing up? Robin Ventura for the Kansas City Royals gets beamed by a pitch thrown by Nolan Ryan. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to look up that video, because that's the reason you don't mess with Texas. I'm just going to say that right now. Robin Ventura had to learn a very difficult lesson that day, and that was great. Pudge Rodriguez was out there, and Bo Jackson, and it turned into a melee, because you don't attack Nolan Ryan. And why you'd attack somebody who can throw a baseball over 100 miles an hour just seems to be like a very strategic arm scap if you can't throw a punch equally as hard. I've had this debate with a lot of people, and they're like, well, that doesn't mean he can throw a punch at 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, you're right. It's probably going to come a lot quicker. Yeah, I would not. Yeah, even at 43 years old, I think is how old he was when that happened. I still don't think. I still don't think I'd want to be hit. I don't think I'd want to be hit by him today. I still think I still think there's some gas in that tank, and I wouldn't want to take a punch from him. But anyway, pick it back up here at 37-37.
And popcorn's $12. Before you get out of there, you're spending over $100 in food too.
It is very expensive.
So I mean, that makes it a little cheaper. But yeah, it was a good time. We sat in between. They played the Padres last night.
Okay.
So we had 4 Padres fans?
Yeah.
And they were drunk
Oh.
and yelling at the
Yeah,
Diamondback
yeah.
fans that were sitting kind of in front of us. So it was actually pretty entertaining.
They get
to
into
listen,
it, let
yeah.
me tell you. Or when where the Dodgers count, those games are so entertaining, because I mean they go at it and they just yell at each other, and then if somebody makes a mistake on the field, they just kill the other fans. Oh my goodness, they're so they get really into it. So you guys were over there by the pool.
There's a pool there?
You didn't see the pool? You did?
No.
Come on, you guys missed out.
Where was the pool?
So
Stop there at 38-50. Randy Johnson was a pitcher for the Diamondbacks in the early to mid 90s. And I remember watching a game where he threw a pitch, and all of a sudden you just see this explosion of feathers, and everybody's looking around. Nobody knew what happened. They ran the play back in slow motion, because Randy Johnson could launch a baseball. I mean, he's 6'10", when he threw a ball, he had a wingspan. He was halfway to the plate, but in midair, he unalives a pigeon. Just one in a trillion things that would never happen again. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it had happened before that, and I don't think it's happened anytime since that, at least in a major league game. But I just remember watching that, and that was that'll be one of those highlight reels that like uh, the U.S. Olympic hockey team 1980 Miracle on Ice. It's one of those things that will always make a sports reel, whether it's a blooper or whether it's just showing the phenomenal athleticism of somebody. That's going to be on there. But gotta show a little love to the Diamondbacks. Pick it up at 38.50.
Base is here, right? So, and let's see this. So, 2, 3. So right behind third.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's kind of right where we were kind of
Okay. So there is a big wall right there,
Uh-huh.
right? And right above the wall, that's where the pool is at. So you can actually buy tickets to be at the pool while
In the
you're
pool watching.
watching the game.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
That's what we should have done.
it is very,
Yeah,
very
that'd be
cool. It's right below the big bar that they have there.
Yeah, we missed that.
Yep. So right, because there's only one main gate, right?
Stop here at 39.35. So one of the things, I understand this is a little slow. I get that. But what I'm trying to get y'all to see is this is a rapport building situation right here. They have questions that they believe she has answers to. She's not going to answer if she's not relaxed. So if they can establish a rapport, they're gaining some common ground. Professional baseball, oh, you've been to the stadium too, and then she's like, oh, did you see the pool, and did you see how that detective closes the door, moves his chair, he leans forward, and he's watching her draw this imaginary diagram on the table. I'm not sure he finds baseball all that fascinating, but if when in Rome, you might as well enjoy. But doing that and making yourself available, making it seem like, wow, what you have to say is really important, it's going to send a subconscious psychological signal to the person you're interviewing. Wow, these guys are really working. They're interested in what I have to say. They're not threatening. They're not this. They're not that. It's opening that door uh, to cooperation. It's a sales tactic, is what it is, and it's a very effective sales tactic for a reason. So we'll pick it up back here at 39.35.
No, there's gates
All
everywhere.
over? Oh. See, we went, I don't even know where we were at.
So
But we walked, the gate we were at, you walk straight through, and it's kind of right where our tickets were.
okay,
So on the left field side of that gate.
okay, all right.
So I don't know if that was intentional or not. I don't know of any major league park that just has one major entrance, and I mean, I don't think there are any professional sports teams in Idaho. So that could be a very honest question. But again, another great interview and interrogation tactic is to get a small detail wrong. And it doesn't matter how inconsequential it is, but you're looking for that correction. When I was interviewing suspects, if they had told me something in the past, I kept track of that, and it could be a little thing, a time they left the house, a time they arrived somewhere, what they were wearing. I'd get that detail wrong, and I'd say, okay, so let me see if I get this right. You left your house at this time, and I'd sit there and I'd go on, and they'd be like, no, that's not what I told you. I was like, oh, I thought you said you left at this time. No, what I said, I left at this time. Okay, so you want whoever you're interrogating to make those corrections. One, if they're lying to you, you lock them into a timeline, which is great. Two, it can help establish what their level of veracity is. It's like, no, this needs to be corrected because that's not true, and you can go there and really open that door. I don't know if that was the detective's intention, but hey, we found a teachable moment, so we might as well bring it up, right? 3955.
The guys were coming more from like the Washington Jefferson side more so than
Probably.
the street number side.
Yeah, we had to walk through like a parking structure
Okay.
right there to go through. But yeah, it was a good time. I'm glad we got to do that when we were down here.
Yeah, that's an experience. I really, really would recommend that anybody to go and take a look at that place. It's so amazing.
I wonder how much season tickets are. Because this would probably be the year to get season tickets if you could, because nobody's really going because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be cheaper.
Maybe a little cheaper to get, but they're probably pretty dang expensive.
I don't know. I remember, I had a friend that had season tickets, and then when he wouldn't use them, he would call me and say, "Hey, you want to use my tickets? For such and such game." Yes, we'll take them.
Yeah, those are the friends to have.
We'll take them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was always nice to have those tickets, because then, like, the same people sit there all the time, so then you get to know the people who are sitting around you and stuff like that, so it's kind of cool. Yeah. I don't think that they will be very expensive. They used to be once upon a time, because, baseball was like the thing to do, but now with COVID,
Is it just me, or does everybody know somebody who's got season tickets to something?
Well, there's something to be said about just enjoying a baseball game and having a hot dog and a cold drink. And
heck yeah.
Watching the game.
Heck yeah. Just being in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the energy that is in there, that, the environment is so cool.
Yep.
I love that.
Even if you're not a baseball fan, you still have to do it.
That's how I became a baseball fan, by going to.
Watching.
Notice she hasn't put her hands in that position on the edge of the table since that one time in the last video.
I had somebody that taught me how, this is what that is.
I want to see her do that again.
I can figure it out now.
I want to see if she does that when her attorney's on the
And it's a
road.
lot better to watch it in person than on TV, too.
Oh, heck
It's
yeah.
completely different.
Heck yeah.
Have you ever been to, let's see, what's the football team? Cardinals.
Yes. One time I went to the Cardinals game,
That'd be fun.
but
Did you like it?
it was fine, but I was pregnant with my youngest daughter at the time, and it was hot, and it was like, I don't know if I want to stay here any longer. I just want to go home and just lay down kind of thing. So it probably wasn't the game. It was probably because I just needed to get some rest rather
Yeah.
than a football game. So that was a long time ago, because my daughter is 19 now. So imagine how long ago that was. So yeah, I don't know much for football.
There it is. So at about 43:06, we see her put her hands back on that table. I'm not 100% sold that she was at that game. That seems to me, she put her hands there. Maybe she's fabricating something to be relatable, but that's a very telling gesture, and this is only the second time she's made that. So we might have a baseline for deception. Now, I mean, this has nothing to do with the case. It's really benign. It doesn't really affect anything yet. But I want to keep watching for that hand gesture in particular, because I don't know yet. I think it illustrates being uncomfortable with the question, and like I want to give something positive, maybe just to keep the conversation going, whatever it is. But if I was going to take the over and under right now, I would definitely take the over that she's never been to a professional football game. And she mentioned it was a long time ago, so I mean it's not something that would be fact checked. And why would you'd make something up about something that small? I've never been to a professional football game. I've never been to a professional football stadium. So I have been to the Texas Rangers stadium, but that's really about it. So it just seems kind of interesting. I think if she does it a third time, we'll have a better idea of what we're looking at. But to tell you the truth, and this hand gesture are the two things I'm watching for. So pick it up here at 4309.
It wasn't like, oh, I hated it or anything like that, but.
Do you watch sports on TV at all? No.
If I would watch any sport, I will be watching baseball.
Baseball.
Yes. So, right around that time when they won the World Series, then that's when I used to really watch it.
Was that, how long ago was that? Was that when Randy Johnson played?
2001 with Gonzo.
4340. That's a great question. Do you ever watch sports on TV? That is a way to lock somebody into a timeline. It's a great question. What kind of shows do you watch? Do you now this is better for older witnesses, older suspects who still watch a lot of live TV. Their stuff isn't streamed, something like that. But if you can get them invested in that timeline, well, I remember it was this day because this show's on at this time and I never missed that show. Okay, that's good. With streaming nowadays, it can be very difficult to pin that stuff down, especially for younger witnesses, younger suspects. But that is kind of a great question, because if you have somebody who's dedicated to watching sports, you can get a timeline for where they were, who was playing, where did they watch the game, who was there. It's a great question that leads to about 25 or 30 other really good, solid questions for locking down your witness or suspect story. So pick it up here at 4340.
Gonzo was the one that did the winning hit. That was crazy. That was a crazy day. People were like going outside in the streets and like celebrating and stuff. It was big. It was big here. It's something that,
Did you go to the parade?
Well,
Yeah,
people just went outside just to like,
Yeah,
yell and
parade,
just
yeah.
like,
Okay, so that's interesting. 4406. She did the gesture for a second, but then she put one hand down. It's an asymmetrical gesture. It doesn't mean anything to me yet, but this is now the third time she's done that, and this is now an asymmetrical gesture. Maybe she's not 100% sure of the timeline. Who knows? And you do see her shifting in the chair a little bit. Maybe that explains why she's just grabbing the table so that she could turn in her chair a little easier. But I also want you to notice that she hasn't done a lot of fidgeting. She hasn't done a lot of like self-grooming gestures. She hasn't, swiveled in her chair like excessively. Like, she's very calm where she's at. But like I said, this is now the third time she's made that gesture, and it's asymmetric, and that's got my attention. And is it going to lead us anywhere? I don't know, but we're looking for patterns of behavior. To tell you the truth, this hand gesture on the table, that's something we're really going to want to pay attention to now. Especially if I ask her something, if I wanted to if I wanted her to commit to a timeline and be 100% sure, if I saw that gesture, I would be more inclined to believe that she's telling me a falsehood, especially if I knew that if I was sure of the timeline myself. So we'll pick it up here at 4406.
Screaming, and why they're outside screaming, because the Diamondbacks, and then people had Diamondback flags on their cars, for the longest time after that. So.
Sorry about that. That call came up last minute. We've got a response that's doing a thing by the 4th, and that's coming in quicker than we're happy about. So, time for a conference call.
Her attorney's been gone for a very long time, almost 30 minutes.
Well, is there anything to talk about this year?
No, they
Okay.
went to the game that night.
last
Oh, did you? Was the roof open?
Roof was
Oh,
open.
that's awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
Mark McGuire hit one out the window. You know those big
Asking
cans
ye
over
shall
the-
receive. I said he's been gone about 30 minutes, and look who walks through the door.
Really?
All right,
Yeah, that-
so 44 minutes, 47 seconds into the video, just a little under 15 minutes on this video. We've seen some interesting stuff. Excuse me. Let's see, now that the attorney's back, let's see if we're going to get anywhere with this. So 44, 47.
I know, it was like
That's far.
420 feet or something like that. It was just insane. Hit it out the window. But, it's this lovely stadium that's shut most of the time. Which
Well,
is good, but...
Yeah, it was over.
When we got there, it was shut, and then
Well, the opening is a dramatic thing, because they cool it down, and then all the air stays in there. So they'll open it up into June, because all that cool air stays in, right? As the cool air stays, it settles and stays in, and then they can open it up and you get this feeling. You decides if it opens or shuts, right?
Who?
It's the Diamondback pitcher who's pitching.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, 'cause, the unit, Randy Johnson, didn't like it open. He didn't like it open. So it didn't matter what the weather was, it was shut when he was pitching.
Really?
Except for the time he hit that bird. Did you ever see that video?
Yeah.
flying when
Basketball.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the
Blew
bird
it up.
was gone.
Anyway, interesting.
We saw a lot of Randy Johnson jerseys still.
Yeah. Well, he was a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a freak. In the very best sense of the term. This big,
Yeah.
tall guy that had a lefty throw. I mean, oh my word. That slider he had. Ugly.
The bird.
That's fun. What'd you eat?
Hot dog,
And
Chicken
we
Diamond dog?
wings, yeah.
Good?
Oh,
Fun?
it was good.
Where were your seats? Where were you?
135?
I don't know where that is. Maybe
Right
third
down,
base, right?
third
third
base,
base,
yeah.
left
Right
field
down
area.
there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good seats.
It was
Good
nice.
seats.
It was perfect, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad we got to go to that.
That's fun. I'm glad you enjoyed that too. That's
It's an awesome time.
That's really good time. I've been at a Diamondbacks game. Last Diamondbacks game I went to was in San Diego. We were over in California. Half of Arizona goes to California for the summertime for a week or two or whatever, and we were over there for a week and went to a Diamondbacks Padres game, and it was 70 degrees. It was perfect. It was
That's who they
gorgeous.
were playing last night.
Yeah, Padres are the real deal this year. So
They whooped them.
yep.
Well, and they had some fans letting them know too.
Yeah.
Fans.
It's good. Cool. Sorry about the interruption.
No, you're good. You're good.
Back to discrepancies.
So Zulema, like I said, we're not accusing you of lying or anything like that. We just want to get ahead of this before it gets brought up in trial.
Yeah.
By either Chad's attorney or Lori's attorney or somebody brings it up and tries to discredit you.
Mhm.
So I've kind of gone.
Was that,
Back
was
to
that statement
business.
recorded from
I
her?
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
That,
if
that
they
would be
have
helpful.
Or have or haven't. Yeah, this is
Because it's hard to verify something that you don't remember making, the statements you don't remember making.
right.
Yeah.
And they may have a recording. I just was pulling the Gilbert reports. Okay. So we talked about that. So let's talk about the bag of cash that Alex gave you. Do you remember when he gave that to you?
He didn't necessarily give it to me. He just a couple of days before he passed.
It's actually a great question from the attorney. Was this recorded? Was it a written statement? How was this statement given? Because if she doesn't remember it, it's going to be very hard to corroborate that statement. And that's not necessarily just the prosecution's problem. If the defense brings it up, the defense is going to have to. Now, the defense has the same problem, just on the opposite side of the trial. And without corroboration, the prosecution can bring that up and say, "Hey, we can't corroborate this statement." The only danger is now the jury's going to be thinking, "Really, why can't you corroborate that statement?" So you're kind of playing with matches here, but we'll pick it up at 48.
And he was like 1 day or 2 days before he passed. He said to me, Zulema, if anything happens to me, I want you to know that there is money in a bag in the closet, and it's for you. He said it's not much, but it's for you.
Okay. And did you ever count the money that was in there? Or know how much was in there?
Well, when before he passed away, no, because I just said whatever, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to touch his money. But after he passed away, I asked the police to bring it down, and my daughter and her boyfriend started counting it. They did.
And how much was in there?
I think that there must have been about probably between $5,000 and $7,000 or something like that.
Okay. Do you remember what else was in the bag?
I still have the bag.
Do you still have everything that was in it?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
It was a bag. He had it in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sorry, the money was in a Ziploc bag?
Mhm.
In another bag?
yeah.
Okay.
And what else is in there? I've looked through that thing like I don't know how many times, and now for the life of me I can't remember what's in there. There might have been a pair of headphones in there.
Details matter.
I don't know. I can look in there and take a look and tell you what's in there.
You take anything out of it?
Probably. I mean, I took the bag out. You know what I mean? And I took the headphones out because I started. I'm like, I wonder if these are the good headphones. And I started using them.
Did you take anything else out of it?
It's possible. I wasn't paying attention, to tell you the truth. Was I supposed to be looking for something?
No, I'm wondering, because we had reports there was some other things in there.
Yeah.
And
Like what?
like there was a gun associated with the bag.
Okay. $5,000 to $7,000 in the bag, and the only thing you've managed to touch is the headphones. She hasn't said anything about the money. Now, it's important to corroborate, okay, what else was in the bag? Okay, so there's headphones, there's cash, but so far she hasn't said anything about the cash, and I think the lawyer and the two detectives know exactly what they're asking. So is this evasion on her part, or does she just not really understand, isn't able to read between the lines? Like, giving her the broadest benefit of the doubt, like, she is legitimately asking the question that they're asking, but it's a little more nuanced than that, and maybe she just doesn't pick up on that. So, but we're going to pick it up at 50-55 and see where this goes.
Oh, okay. That's what you're asking for? You're asking for the guns, but the guns were in separate bags. Not in the same bag not in the bag of money. The bag of money was it's like a black duffel bag type thing with a zipper.
Okay.
And then there's the guns that he left. They have their own
Case.
and they have it's like a case, like a gun case, and then the gun goes in one thing, and then it has the clips, and
So just so I understand, the gun case was with the
next,
bag of money,
next.
but not inside the bag.
Okay, 5141. Okay, so see, she makes a distinction. She's talking about one specific bag. What was in the bag with the money was, and that bag was in another bag, and so she's making distinctions. This is a great lesson for aspiring interviewers and interrogators. You've got to be very specific about what you're asking. Because she's answering the question that he's asking something different. And going back to the first video, this is why it's important that you have counsel in a situation like this who can kind of differentiate, this is what they're asking, this is what you're answering, this is what you need to tell them, or you know even more likely, you don't want to answer that question. So we'll pick it up here at 5141 and see what we've got.
No.
And just so I'm clear, the bag of money was in a Ziploc bag inside of another bag.
Yes.
And the gun was not inside the bag with the money, nor was it inside the bag that the money was in. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it has its own.
Okay. Yeah.
Its own
Separate. Okay.
separate bag with a zipper that goes around like that. So when you open it like a book.
Okay, so in the duffel bag that the money was in, what else was in the duffel bag? Let me ask you this: was there a phone in the duffel bag?
Yeah, I think that's where they found the phone, because they took it. They took a phone.
Who? The
The
police?
Gilbert police took a phone that was in there, because it's in the inventory that they left. When they take things, they give you an inventory of what they take or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That there was they said that there was a phone. It's possible that they found it in there, but I don't know where they found it, to tell you the truth. But they said that they did take that phone.
Take a phone?
Mm-hmm. A phone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where they got it from?
No.
Good.
It's possible that was in there, yeah.
It could have been in Alex's pocket. The phone they got.
Well, Alex didn't have any clothes on when so.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
flip about it. Maybe it could have been somewhere else.
It's possible, yeah.
So you don't remember anything else? Did you ever go through the bag before your kids did?
Okay, second time we've heard to tell you the truth. 5334. Second time we've heard to tell you the truth. Third time we've seen that gesture of palms down gripping the side of the table. If you remember back to my Sarah Boone video, she made those unsolicited proffers of honesty multiple times. Just because those are things I'm listening for, I'm a little more clued into it. So far, I'm not 100% convinced that she's being deceptive. I really think she's answering the questions to the best of her ability. I don't think there's anything, like, I don't think she's going out of her way to be deceptive. But when you have a bag inside a bag that's holding multiple bags or multiple objects, this is where drilling down and being very, very detail oriented with your question is very good, because even the lawyer, even though he asked a great question to clarify his understanding, I'm not sure that they really understand what she's trying to convey. And I only say that because I'm watching this video and I'm not 100% sure I understand what it is she's trying to convey. So we'll pick it up here at 5334, and let's pay attention to that to tell you the truth and the hands down gesture.
No.
And so when Alex gave you that bag, or told you, if anything ever happens to me, did you Did you ask him, like, why would anything ever happen to you? Was that an odd statement that he had made?
I did. I said, why? I said, don't say things like that, Alex. I said, why would you say something like that? And then he said, just in case. Just in case. That's why the reason why I in my back of my mind, I was thinking, did he do something to himself? Why was he saying that 2 days before he passed?
So he tells you about the bag and says, if anything ever happens to me, there's some money in the bag. It's not much, but there's some money in the bag. And that was 2 days before.
Yeah, either the day before or either the day before he passed or the day prior to that. So in the last 2 days that he was alive.
Okay. And then, so when you had that, let's go back to the conversation that you had with Alex.
At 54:35. Okay, so that's a really good question. Did you find it weird that he'd say that? You know, why would he say, if anything happens to me, this money's here? I mean, if you're married, if you have kids, maybe you have a life insurance policy, and you let them know, hey, if anything ever happens to me, you know, my will's in this safety deposit box, my insurance documents are here, whatever the case is, just in case the inevitable happens, right? I mean, we nobody's guaranteed tomorrow, right? But I just find it odd. And then she said something kind of interesting. If you just back it up about 5 seconds, she said, I wondered if he did anything to himself or was going to do something to himself, something along those lines. Excuse me. Obviously, it's spring break because usually when I'm on a break from school or work, that's when I get sick. So I'm trying to stave off whatever springtime weather change illness comes with the time change and temperature change. But I'm worried I'm not being as effective about that. But now we're starting to see some interesting ways in the way she's responding to questions, and this is good. So we'll pick it up here at 54:35.
When Tammy's body is being exhumed. Do you remember that conversation where you said you had confronted him and said, Alex, are you going to have anything to do with this? Why would you think that he may have something to do with it?
So Lori and Chad had called that day, and they were the ones that told us that they were exhuming her body, and
Okay, we're going to stop it there at 55:22. We're running a little long, but now she's asking, or the detective is asking Zulema about the exhumation of Tammy, who is Alex's ex-wife. This is where the video, I think, is going to start getting very interesting, but we're running a little long. So we'll pick it up at 55:22, where Zulema is going to talk to us about the exhumation of Tammy. And I imagine if we're going to see anything really good in her behavior, the way she answers questions, this is where it's going to be. I'm Derek Judd, the Cowboy Criminologist, here with Cowboy Criminology, and I'll see you next time for part 3. Y'all take care.
Out on the edge where the cold winds blow, truth runs deeper than the stories they told. Cowboy Criminology, ride the line, getting to the truth behind true crime.